What happened to Jordan was a crime. And this family shouldn't have to stand by themselves. These lawyers, Lennon Edwards and Dante, shouldn't have to stand by themselves. Because when they choked Jordan, they put their arms around all of us. All of us have the right to live.
You know why, black people? We need to reject these supposed leaders in our community. They are the ones that are confusing and hurting us. All right, into this video, we're going to go over to Newsmax for this one. I've been enjoying Newsmax a lot. And they're talking about Slim Shady, talking about Al Sharpton. I think the reason this is significant is not to say what happened to Jordan Neely was not a matter that deserves attention. Neither am I saying he deserved to die in the way that he did. This is a sad, unfortunate situation. It should have never happened. But however, to call this racism, I have an issue with that. To call the Caucasian male who had him in a submission hold, to call that man a white supremacist, I have an issue with that. Because the facts doesn't seem to show that at all. This seems to me like an unfortunate situation. There was a lot of fear factor. There were some threats. And there was a homeless man who was completely vulnerable. And considering the situation and circumstance in New York led to the death of the man, there's no racism here. But you know, some people are going to make it racist anyway. This is America. Everything is racist. And the race hustlers are going to try to gain something from it. Well, I love this Newsmax coverage because I love Newsmax, man. I'm telling you, I barely listen to Fox News anymore, but Newsmax has been my to-go channel. And for the most part, I'm very satisfied with their content. Now, listen to this interview here. This is well put together, well done, and also very balanced. Let's take a listen to this.
Welcome back into Wake Up America. Daniel Penny, the man charged in the fatal chokehold death of a homeless man on the New York City subway, has finally broken his silence, giving his first interview to the New York Post, saying that he is not a white supremacist. This comes a day after the man who was killed in this incident, Jordan Neely, was laid to rest in Harlem.
Joining us now for more is business and political commentator, Newsmax columnist John Burnett, and former New York City mayoral candidate and the founder of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa. Thank you so much for joining us. So Daniel Penny says he rides the subway multiple times a day, loves people of all races, and that this case is the result of a broken system. Curtis, what do you make of this? You see crime all day long in New York. You've seen it at its worst. You're now seeing it get worse, I mean, compared to the last couple of years.
Well, you know, first of all, a great article by Dana Kennedy. He's been a lifelong reporter for the New York Post. You know, he had an apartment in the Lower East Side. We didn't know that. So he's already in a very diverse community. He's living there. He's traveling the subways every day. He's probably run into other situations in which he didn't put anybody in a chokehold. But he says, I really didn't know who Al Sharpton was. And a lot of people say, well, how could that be? I don't watch the news. I'm a surfer boy. Right. We've all known surfer boys. Yeah. They don't watch the news. They don't know what's going on. They're waiting for the next big wave. Yeah. This guy had no intention of harming anybody. And he's a United States Marine who did honorable service. Who do you give the benefit of the doubt to? Do you give the benefit of the doubt to the Marine or to Al Slim Shady Sharpton, who even
Al Slim Shady Sharpton. And I'm telling you, Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crumb, Dr. Richard Ricci, there are a few more. Anyway, there's a bunch of race hustlers out there. They do exist. They only come out to talk about black issues when a white person is involved in a homicide, in the death of a black man. This is not to say they may not be doing other things. They are. But these people are not addressing the black on black violence. They're not addressing the real pain that's happening in black communities. They're not talking about the black families. They don't address the abortion rate. They're not talking about black people voting for Democrats and when Democrats' policies are hurting black people the most. They don't address any of that. But if a black man is dead, If a black man dies by the hand of a Caucasian person, police, a civilian, doesn't necessarily matter. They show up, they talk, they preach, and they go to the funerals. But when Jordan Neely was poor, hungry, starving, homeless, they were nowhere to be found. Jordan Neely dies because the man who had him in a submission hold was Caucasian. Oh, here they are. They're coming out of the woodwork. They're coming out to show their face and their sympathy and their compassion to the family because they care. Like, come on, people. Wake up.
Wants the 2 good Samaritans arrested and charged with manslaughter.
Yeah, Curtis, I don't know a lot of 24-year-olds that know who Al Sharpton is, right? But this guy was on the subway going to the gym. He takes the subway so we can get to the gym each day. I want to get your take on this, John. This is the quote from Daniel Penny in the New York Post. Quote, "This had nothing to do with race. I judge a person based on their character. I'm not a white supremacist. Everybody who's ever met me can tell you I love all people. I love all cultures. I'm a normal guy." And
there we go. And I can tell you, he's not lying. The man felt like he was doing something to help the people, man. There was a threat. Did I think he did the right thing? I don't think so. Did I think the situation going to be handled differently? Yes. Being a Christian, I will say, how can I help you, my man? What could I do for you? That's me talking as a Christian. I will be like, yo, do you need some money? You need something to eat? Here. My humanity and my compassion and my Christian values will stand out. I will not violently attack or put the man in a submission hold. I will not have done that. That's me. Okay? But I don't expect everyone to behave like me, though. So, yes, it could have been handled differently. Yes, Jordan Neely could have been alive today. It could have been a mean through the ministry. Yes. But that's not what happened on that day. But to call it racist is also wrong. Here is the word of a man. I am a normal guy. I believe that. Listen, I tell people all the time on this channel, black people, most white people, and I'm talking about over 90-something% of white people, ain't worrying about you. The average white person on the streets, the average Caucasian male you see, they're not worrying about you, man. They don't think because you black, you're a threat and they need to do you this or that. Well, I'm not saying people like that don't exist, but they among the very upper class, either rich or the few that do exist, they're in nursing homes. They're dying. The real racists are either dead, dying, or they are the very top, the affluence class. That's where I see them. But the average Caucasian person you meet in your streets on every day, well, they could care less about your skin color. These people just want to live like you want to live. They have families, they have issues, they have pain, anxiety, sorrows. They got to wrestle like you do. Stop letting these media, okay, talking parrots confuse you about the reality. That's not reality. These people are not living reality. Jordan Neely's death was not a racially motivated thing. They're making it that because the race hustlers need something to do with themselves.
And then Jordan Neely's attorney basically said this is an attempt by the media and the Penny team to soften public opinion about Daniel Penny. It's not an attempt to soften opinion. It's an attempt to get the entire story out there before this guy is completely maligned by the rest of the media.
Right, there's two sides to every story, right? And to Curtis's point, the next big wave is Al Sharpton, right? Who will try to use this situation, invoking race and other elements into it to try to make sure that the outcome that are in some minds of New York City residents, that he should be charged and convicted. But there's another cohort of individuals, large base, right, in New York and outside of New York, saying that, look, the thing is that he stepped up not only to defend himself against a mentally disturbed individual, which could and likely was on something because he made credible threats with regard to willingness to go to do harm, to go to prison, potentially for life.
So we don't have the toxicology report yet.
I know,
Okay.
but when you hear things like that, right? You don't wait around to call 911, especially given the cell phone signals in the New York City subway.
Right.
And it's in the car, I believe it was between stations. So you step up and you do what you need to do to protect people. And there are different reports coming out in terms of the time in which the chokehold was applied. So I think all these things will come out in the trial to mitigate, the potential legal backlash. And we know that many people stepped up to donate as well as be a part of Penny's legal defense. But there are two stories going on, especially given the fact this weekend, as Penny came out, made his statement, right, speaking from the heart, right, and then you have Al Sharpton eulogizing Penny, making all types of statements. So those two narratives will go into the trial.
Yeah, we have a soundbite from Al Sharpton at the funeral. Let's take a listen.
What happened to Jordan was a crime. And this family shouldn't have to stand by themselves. These lawyers, Lennon Edwards and Dante, shouldn't have to stand by themselves.
The thing is, I hate when they do this in church. They are politicizing a situation, doing church service at the death. I mean, the people who are listening to this are going to be left with a skewed version of reality. And the racism that they are peddling here is not going to help the community at all. Why don't you preach a sermon? All right, preach a sermon about what God says to these families right now. This doesn't mean you can't address the situation and give your opinion and view, but stop politicizing it. This is an opportunity to share the gospel. But they wouldn't have a job, though, would they?
Edwards and Dante shouldn't have to stand by themselves.
Whatever.
Because when they choked Jordan, they put their arms around all of us. All of us have the right to live.
Oh, stop. He is ridiculous. He is ridiculous. Virtue signaling. You are virtue signaling. If you still believe America is that racist, you are living in a different planet, buddy.
Curtis, your reaction to that?
He's mentioning those two liars for hire that are now representing the estate. All family members emerging that hadn't been around for years, and we keep seeing the same loop of Neely doing Michael Jackson impressions. That was 10 years ago.
It was a decade ago. He was not a beloved street performer.
This he hadn't done that in 10 years.
He was doing Thriller on the train. No, he wasn't. He was harassing people. He'd been arrested 40-plus times.
I'm in the hood, and a bunch of young brothers saying...
Can I ask the same question? If Jordan Neely was... if he had passed away by the hand of another black man, you would have heard nothing about this. The local news would have reported that, and that would be it. That would be it. The reason you're hearing about this is because the race hustlers are making something of this. This is not to say Jordan Neely deserved to die. I've already said that. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. Every life is precious to Jesus, regardless of the condition or the past. Even though he had a past, which you should consider. Yeah, 42 arrests. That tells you a lot. Okay? There was mental health. There was homelessness. There was anxiety. There was drug use. These things do matter. You have to consider all these factors before you jump into making a decision. However, if Jordan Neely had died by the hand of another black man, which happens all the time, black on black violence in New York City, over 70% of the crimes done by the 23% of the population, which are blacks in New York City, 70% of the crimes that are done there are done by the hands of black people. How many of these things do you hear all the time? How many of these subways, violent acts, this stuff is prevalent? You don't hear about it. Who told you about it? They don't talk about you about it, right? But Jordan Neely was a situation for the race hustlers to talk about. That's why they're talking about it. They could care less about the man. When he was homeless, when he was starving, when he was hungry, and when he was dealing with his drugs issues, Who was wrestling for him? Who was talking for him? Who was feeding him? None of these people. None of them. But now they want to go to funerals and give a speech. Oh, give us a break.
40+ times he was wanted.
I'm in the,
he had a felony warrant out.
hood, and a bunch of young brothers saying, Curtis, why are you defending the Marine? He killed Michael Jackson. I said, idiots. It's not Michael Jackson. Yeah. It's a pretender who used to do this 10 years ago on the subway.
Yeah, and he's evolved since then. That may have been Jordan Neely at some point. But just quickly, so Neely's uncle, and I thought this was fascinating, Neely's uncle basically asked, Daniel Penny's uncle asked why he didn't let go when he had him in that chokehold. Because you watch the video and it's like, well, maybe there was an opportunity. Check that, Neely. Why do you think?
Look, I've been at this, and I've done this chokehold, this headlock dozens of times.
You've been in this situation,
oh, yeah.
Similar situation.
You don't let go until the cops get there.
Why?
And where were the cops? They weren't there. So you hold on. You never know. This guy could turn on you, and then all of a sudden you're dead, and nobody says jack diddly squat about you. So what a sucker. He should have minded his own business. He should have been in fear and flee. No, this is a hero. This is a hero.
Right. And sometimes we know that mentally ill individuals.
I wouldn't classify him as a hero, more like a person who wanted to do the right thing, but he might have chosen the wrong situation. And maybe I wouldn't call him a hero here because Jordan Neely, in this case, this is where I disagree. Even though he made some statements that were possibly violent threats, he still didn't actually do anything, right? But the threats were enough for anybody to defend themselves. I get that. Self-defense needed to take place here simply based on the words of Jordan Neely saying, I'm ready to die, I'm gonna hurt anybody, stuff like that. So these were very obvious threats and people needed to pay attention. But my first thing is, before you put him in a submission hold or a choke hold, however you want to refer to it, I would have asked a lot more questions. That's me. I would have offered help. I would have offered money. I would have offered food, whatever it is that I could do. If that didn't work, then we can talk about what could we do to make sure we keep this man under control. And if this man is onto something, it's possible that he was on some type of substance. It might be very difficult as well because to deal with that. So the idea that Daniel was a hero, I can't prescribe to that. Not based on the circumstance. No, I can't.
Have some type of additional human strength, right? And we also know when it comes down to the street, many people say, okay.
That's what I was going to say. So Daniel might not be a hero, is definitely not a criminal in my eyes either. But listen to what this man just said.
The ill individuals have some type of additional human strength, right? And we also know when it comes down to the street, many people say, okay, I give up, right? And once you actually release the tight grip, then they turn on you, like you said, Curtis. Yeah. So the thing is, people need to actually go into the moment, not play Monday morning quarterback.
Right. And we need to get that talk.
I wonder if it would have been better if they had just tied him. That's my thought. Doesn't necessarily mean it would have been good, but I wonder if it would have been better instead of holding him. Maybe just tie his arm, but you have to have something to tie his arm with, and also in his feet. And that's something. But I'm just saying, it's one of those sad situations. I don't necessarily know what I would do. I mean, each person, we can give our opinion here. I can sit behind this camera and talk about what I think I would have done better. But when you're in it, it's a different story. So, okay.
Toxicology report, because I think that'll help to paint a better picture. John Burnett, Curtis Sliwa, thanks so much for being on with us this morning, breaking that down. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. But thank you for that reporting. That was great. What's your perspective, guys? Where do you stand when it comes to this? Do you believe Jordan Neely's death was it warranted? Was it, would you consider this man a hero? Do you think Danny is a hero? What would you have done differently? You know, for me, I'm of the conviction. Whenever I see either pain or threats, I don't know, man. I don't know. Something, it's in my spirit. I'm always like the guy who's like, can love be the factor that brings about change in every situation? I believe, yeah. But there's time force is needed. There's time self-defense is needed. There's time we need to intervene and use strength. But I don't use that first. That's secondary. For me, I think the example of Jesus is what I would like to follow. When Jesus saw the multitude, that they were hungry, the Bible says he saw the crowd and he had compassion because they were harassed, helpless like sheep without a shepherd. Look at the word compassion and look at Jesus. Look at events in the Bible where compassion and Jesus is mentioned together, and study those stories. You will see how Jesus reacted to many situations that I really think people could have reacted differently in that situation. They could have. But I don't think because of the decision that he made, he's a criminal, he's a white supremacist. I don't believe that. That's the other side of the extreme. However, there's been time I had to physically hold someone. There's been time when I had to sit down and talk to someone. There's been time when I had to just listen to someone. It's a hard situation to be in. I don't know what I would do, but my perspective is that always offer compassion before you offer anything else. Always try to understand the person's perspective, ask questions, offer help, give a hand, because it's highly possible, right? Highly possible. If either 2 or 3 people in a train will say, you know what, I can help you. You're hungry. Wow. When was the last time you ate anything? What's going on, my man? What's on your mind? And you're very honest about it. And you say, man, I only got $5 on me. I got $10 here. Here's a little something. Put this in your pocket. The situation could have been different. Highly likely it could have been different. But it's easier said than done when you're in it. So that's my thought. That's how I would have approached the situation. And I've done that in the past before. It did work. It did work. Numerous times when I've tried that, it actually did work. But anyway, it's a sad situation. The race hustlers, we need to kick them out of the room. They just want to weaponize this stuff for their own selfish interests. And also, I think Danny doesn't need to be criminalized either. I don't think he's a criminal. I don't think he's a white supremacist. I don't think he's evil. No. He's completely misunderstood, if you were to ask me. But this is what we are. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Comment below. Share a thought and perspective with me. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.